Welcome to the Rival Fantasy Major League Baseball Opening Day live stream. I'm Neal, and the gentleman to my side is Brian. I know you're excited for today, my friend.
Neal, I can't get the smile off my face, man. It's like Christmas for me. I'm very hyped, so excited to talk some baseball with you.
Yeah, it's important to note that you are a gigantic baseball fan,
I
way
am,
more than I am.
yeah, to an unhealthy degree.
Yeah,
Some might say.
yeah.
Some
So I
might
love it, but you really, really love
Yeah,
it. So
yeah,
it's a very good dynamic we got going here.
yeah,
For those watching, I mean, we'll be live streaming every Monday to talk, fantasy
yeah, we will.
baseball, whatever, however you want to look at it. So make sure you're subscribed. You have your notifications on. This way you don't miss an episode. We're doing these lives. That way we can interact with the chat, answer questions, run polls, all that kind of fun stuff. But of course, if they miss the live streams, they can always watch them after the fact. On the video tab, we'll have, shorter versions of what we're talking about. So they can either watch the whole thing or just go there and watch whatever topics they want to see. The show is brought to them by Rival Fantasy Sports. It's an all-in-one fantasy sports platform for users to play season-long best ball challenges, fantasy bingo, all that kind of stuff. On this show, Brian, we're going to use a lot of that kind of stuff
Yeah, we
to,
are.
play games. The advice we give will maybe be Rival Fantasy specific a lot of times. So if you don't have an account yet, we'd love for you to click the link in the bio, enjoy the special offer, and play along with us. The show on Mondays will probably be a little slightly different from today. I mean, this
Yeah,
is opening day, so obviously things are a little different. But again, I'd say the best place for us to start, latest news across the league, things that people are going to be concerned with, I guess, going into the opening day games.
yeah.
What do you think, man? Where should we start? The best player in baseball?
I think the $700 million man. Yeah, I think that's where we start, man.
Yeah,
That's where
that's
we
probably
start.
the best bet. I mean, obviously everyone knows what we're talking about, right? Like right before the season kicks off, and I don't know, man. It almost seems like a TV show or a movie. I mean, we get all this drama
Yeah,
to bring all
the
the attention.
the MLB script this year is it's a little twisty, man. It's like they got a new showrunner and then they decided to just throw more curveballs, no pun intended,
Yeah,
towards the audience. So
it's kind of hilarious. I almost wonder, like, before we even get into, okay, well, let's say what it is first. Okay, so Shohei Ohtani, who many argue is the best player in baseball,
yeah,
right? I mean,
many are saying this. Yeah.
many are saying this. I've seen a lot of players saying it as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, he won't be able to pitch this season, but he is going to be a hitter. So going into this season, he signs a $700 million deal with the Dodgers. It's crazy. It's all this deferred money. This is enough of itself as a conversation.
Yeah.
But right before the season starts, we get this gambling, scandal that
Yeah.
breaks out over Shohei.
Yeah. I mean, the scandal happened during the games in Seoul. I think it was right after the first game, right? So they've played 9 innings of baseball, and then this news breaks. TLDR is that supposedly Ipe, who was Shohei's translator and best friend and confidant, and like the Robin to his Batman, around him all the time, supposedly stole almost $5 million from him to pay gambling debts through an illegal bookie in, I believe, the LA area. And the story has changed several times already. It changed
Yep.
several times in the first 24 hours. Did Shohei know? Did Shohei not know? Very unclear. So now a federal investigation is happening. The MLB is investigating. Shohei had his statement, I believe it was last Thursday or Friday, or it was earlier this week. It was some point where he gave a statement to the press to kind of deny all wrongdoing and then basically put all of this on Ipe. So we could speculate all day long till we're blue in the face, but it's a very interesting story to have broken immediately before opening day. It's a gray cloud over what was typed up to be a very exciting season, still going to be, but when the star of the league now has this gray cloud over him, it doesn't bode well for the season.
Yeah, and like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I love Shohei Ohtani, right? Like, I've done videos on him, and he's a very contentious topic, right?
Yep.
So I like him. I like his story. I like everything that he brings to baseball. I'm all for anything that brings attention to baseball, and he's doing that, right? So I love Ohtani. I love what he brings to the game. The controversy, the story, I think it's interesting. My question to you is like, are we going to get like a legit, look into this, or do you think like Major League Baseball just wants it to kind of go away?
I think it's going to be more the latter. I don't think that you have a guy I mean, I say this, if you're drawing parallels to Pete Rose, it's the
Yeah,
easiest example, right? It's
right.
Pete Rose got absolutely blasted for what he did. Now he bet on his own team and on baseball, which is a little bit different. But um, assuming Otani bet at all, which we don't know yet, but I do think that the MLB will try to hurry up this investigation. I think the best parallel I saw was they talked about it on Fox Sports with 2015 Jared Cozart. I think
Hmm.
he got a little slap on the wrist because he was betting illegally. I think he got like a 5-game suspension, and then they went on their merry way. So Jared Cozart's going to get a 5-game slap on the wrist. Otani might miss 2 games at most, but I think they're going to try very quickly to remedy this on the baseball side and kind of let the federal side do what they need to do.
Gotcha.
I think that's where most of this is going to take place.
Yeah. Do you think it's gonna be like a drawn out process though, or do you think it's gonna be quick turnaround?
It's the feds, so they love doing everything, right? But yeah, I think it'll probably take, I could see it at least up to All-Star break, unless it's, there's definitive and damning evidence on one side or the other, and it's pretty quick. It seems like they already have some pretty good details. So
Yeah.
that's all to say. I don't think Shohei is going to miss much, if any, time as a result of this.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope not. I hope he doesn't. And I mean, like I said, I mean, hopefully he's not really involved, right? Hopefully it's true
Hope so.
what, he
Yeah.
came out and said, but we'll see how it all plays out. I guess the
Mm.
bigger question that comes from this, besides, because I love the drama, I love the storylines, I
Yeah.
love all that kind of stuff. But the bigger question people want to know, especially those playing like fantasy baseball, season long, best ball, DFS, all that kind of stuff is, will this mess with Otani? Will
Yeah.
this mess with the Dodgers? Like, will this story hang over them and kind of be a distraction? Or do you think that, Otani's that good and he's this much of he's this weird thing, right? Like he's his own thing. Like you hear all these stories about like how, all he cares about is baseball, being the greatest. That's all he's focused on. The interpreter, kind of kept him away from everything else, like, any distractions, anything that could stop him from being the best.
Yeah.
And so it's like, do you think this will mess with Otani? Because baseball is a game of like rhythm and getting into that, flow state and all this kind of stuff. And like, do you think it's going to be enough to disrupt things on this, amazing run that people are expecting the Dodgers to do? Or do you think it's going to be something that they could just get right past?
I think because baseball is such a mental game, you could see a little bit of a downturn for Otani
Yeah.
initially. Again, and you have to keep in mind too, like this Ipe was supposedly like Otani's best friend. Like they were inseparable, like, went everywhere all the time, even before they lived in the
Yeah. I
States,
mean,
right?
calling him an
So
interpreter is like downplaying what he
yeah,
really did.
that was like the baseline of his responsibilities, right? And so,
Yeah.
but that also makes it much more heavy. It's much more, if everything is true, it's more of a betrayal against Shohei. So I think, there is the mental thing. You have to be ready for a little bit of a downturn. You have to be ready for a little bit of a slump. But I think he'll figure it out. He'll shake out of it. The first couple weeks might be a little rough. You may see some higher strikeout rates, more ground balls. He may turn the ball over more. You just kind of tend to see that with like the mental game when you get inside your own head. If he gets the yips in the box, it won't be great, but even like bad Shohei is still pretty good in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, I think you might see a little bit of impact on him personally. As for the rest of the Dodgers team, I don't really see it impacting them. I think it may impact Yamamoto purely because Ipe was also supposed to be his translator.
Wow.
This year is something, I read a little bit about that too. So that could throw some things off. And Yamamoto already had a pretty rough first outing. So um, we'll see. But I think, you've got Freddie Freeman, you've got Mookie Betts, you've got guys who have been around the game for so long in that lineup and on that team. You got Kike Hernandez, who's very much a clubhouse guy, right? Like they'll figure it out. It's the Dodgers. They love to choke in the postseason, but during the regular season, they figure it out, right?
Yeah.
That is a team that I don't like betting against as
Yeah,
much as it
no, they
pains me
have
to say.
plenty of, support and, a system in place to hopefully protect from this kind of stuff. And, of everything we hear about Shohei, how dialed in he is, hopefully he can, get past it pretty quickly. But I think it's an interesting storyline to follow. I mean, I
Yeah,
think, on top of the injuries and all this kind of stuff, the new contract, it's just more drama and, Dodgerland, man. So
yeah. It's shocking, some drama following the Dodgers. Can't Hard to believe that.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I
Uh,
guess that's all for Shohei. I mean, I don't want to, there's, we're going to get news as it goes along. So we'll be able to
yeah,
cover this, all season long until there's some kind of resolution, right? I mean, that's what we're gonna do. So
Yeah.
we won't stay on it too long. Opening day has a lot of exciting stuff. We don't
Yeah.
want to.
There's way other happier storylines
Yeah.
to talk about.
Yeah.
So.
So that and happier things, well, could be happier, I guess. It depends on your vibe on either one. But pitchers in new places, man. There's new
Yeah.
guys everywhere.
Yeah, lots of movement this year, which is crazy. I think Corbin Burns is the big one that
Mhm.
people are pointing to. What does that mean uh, for the Orioles? What are they trying to make a World Series run now? And what does it mean for the Brewers? That impact. And then you have guys like Josh Hader, who now is the closer for the Astros. You have Yamamoto and Imanga, who came over from Japan. Now they're playing in very competitive divisions. And so there was a lot of surprising movement this offseason. And, just earlier this week, Jordan Montgomery finally signed for the Diamondbacks. So now that rotation is really studly. So I think, it's always interesting to watch, especially the first like 2 months of these guys and what they do in new places, because they have to learn a new catcher. They have to learn a new system, different ballpark dimensions. So, going from like, Corbin Burns has a pretty easy one because he goes from a pitcher's
Yeah.
park to a pitcher's park. But, you get Josh Hader, who is he going to give up more home runs to the juice box? Right. There's a lot of different things to keep in mind with the movements that you see for these pitchers. So, just watch it, and it's just temper your expectations out of the gate, right? And know that these guys may have a little bit more of a learning curve and some more adjustment than guys who have stayed in the same place.
Yeah. Is there any that I mean, like, let's say even like your top two, like that you think it's going to work for? Like you mentioned Yamamoto. Yeah, I don't know if you mentioned, but like Chris Sale with the Braves,
Chris Sale.
Burns with the all these guys moved around, and then the Cubs got what's his name?
Imanga.
Right? Yeah. So
Imanaga.
yeah, so there's a lot
Sorry
of
if
like
I'm butchering it.
there's a lot of really like interesting ones. Like they're not just guys that
Yeah.
change places, but like they're interesting situations. So like, are there any that like you're really into in terms of like you think this is really going to work out, or ones that you think is going to like really crash and burn even? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think the one that I think Jordan Montgomery will work out really well for the Diamondbacks. I think when you have a 1-2 punch now, or actually a 1-2-3 punch of some combination of Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, and Jordan Montgomery, and then you have Brandon Pfaadt,
Right.
Fat. I don't know how to say his last name. He's got that crazy like phonetic thing. But they have a very scary rotation now, and so the Diamondbacks kind of lied in wait, and I think it's going to pay off for them because they were not in dire straits with their rotation to begin with. So now you add a guy like Jordan Montgomery, who, as soon as he got out of New York, I mean, the switch flipped, right?
Right.
And I think it's going to be really good for him. I think Todd Frazier actually said this yesterday on another podcast, but I think he got severely underpaid. I think he got, very, very gypped as far as his contract deal. But, I think it's going to be good for him. I think it's also going to be good for Marcus Stroman. He is now a Yankee. So speaking of going to New York,
He feels like a forgotten guy, though, right?
He does feel like a forgotten guy.
People are kind of done with him in a sense. I loved it when he was a Met. I mean, I have a special thing for him.
And, when we're during the World Baseball Classic, was that 2014, 2016, back last decade.
Mhm.
So he's been around a long time. He's just kind of an elder statesman now, but Stroman loves the big time. He likes being in the limelight. And so I think being in New York will actually be good for him. It was good for him as a Met before he got hurt. If he can stay healthy, I think this is a really good fit for him. He is needed in that rotation pretty badly, especially now that Garrett Cole has gone down. So
yeah,
I think that one is overlooked, like you said, but I think it's going to work out really well for the Yankees.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, would you consider him, even for those who are playing fantasy baseball, for those who are playing baseball, like a sleeper pitcher?
Yeah, I consider him like a sleeper streamer. I think he
does have the injury concerns, right? I mean,
he does. He has some health issues, and I think you throw him on the back of your bench. See what his first 2-3 starts do if the Yankees lineup can, keep them in games, which is a concern for them. You got 3 really great hitters at the top, and then the last 6 are questionable. But I think he'll have a lot of success in New York.
Yeah.
And then I think the last one I will say is I am skeptical of the Blake Snell signing for the Giants. It's not that I don't think Blake Snell is a good pitcher. Obviously, he won the Cy Young last year.
Yeah.
He also has injury concerns, and he has had the 2 great years he's had are the years he's won the Cy Young. Can't knock a guy for that.
Right.
You got 2 Cy Youngs under your belt, you're a good pitcher. But I think last year was kind of a situation of circumstance. I don't think that the NL had really strong starting pitchers who were eligible for the Cy Young. So I think he kind of snuck his way in there with the Pods. And so it'll be interesting to see what he can do with, arguably not as good of a lineup top bottom as what he had last year in San Diego. So, temper your expectations with Blake Snell, and he is also another one that has some injury history. I don't like saying injury prone because I don't necessarily believe in it, but he's closer to that than not. So just I think temper your expectations, especially in that division. You have to play the Dodgers a bunch. You have to play the Diamondbacks a ton, right? So and then he has to go into Coors Field a couple of times. So regardless of how you feel about the Rockies, great pitchers can get shelled there just because of the fact that it's Coors Field. So, things to keep in mind. It's a tough division and then you have the Padres. He has to go play against them now. So not a great setup for him.
I think it's so interesting. Like, I mean, we obviously, for people who have been watching for a long time, we do the fantasy baseball season-long show. We obviously cover all fantasy sports. And I think it's so interesting how, like, in baseball, I think it's got to be the only sport like this where, like, a guy can win the Cy Young, and then you're like, I mean, I don't know how he's going to do this year. You know what I mean? Like, in no other sport is a guy win an award for, like, the best player at his position or, whatever the award is. And then, like, the next year, you're like, I don't know. Like, he's kind of questionable.
When I think I know we'll talk about this a little bit, but I think that's also partially the Scott Boras effect of like, when you wait too long and you don't capitalize on the hype that you yourself have made for your own performance, it backfires. And it's
I guess
it
we
is
could relate
interesting
it,
though.
To players signing late in like the NFL and then getting injured,
exactly
because they came so late. So I get it, but it's just funny, like
it's crazy.
And you're like, I don't know.
And I mean, how many times I think JD Martinez is a good example of that too. I know he's not what he used to be, but like there were years that he was contending for the batting title, and then he was a free agent, and then it took the Red Sox, until like the last week of spring training to sign him that year. And I'm pretty sure he was vying, if not won, the batting title that year. So like, you see it with these guys. People just don't want to pay in the MLB, which is, it's crazy that you don't want to pay to make your team better. Especially when there's no salary cap, so you have unlimited spending potential if you're willing to pay the fines.
That does bring us into the Scott Boras situation, which is a perfect segue here, because it is partially, like you said, some of these guys have been injured and that kind of stuff, but it also is the late sign-in, which you could credit to their agent. I mean, I guess we have to blame the agent to a certain effect, right? I mean, he is one of those guys who is stuck on, I'm getting the max, for my guys as much as I can get, the best financial situation. But at the same time, these guys aren't necessarily getting the long-term deals that they wanted, right? Like you literally just named 2 of them. And it's like, do you think that like the players don't care? Like they just feel like he's best for them? Or, I mean, are they going to start to see that, this isn't working out? Like, I mean, and this has been going on forever though, right? I mean, like, what do you think is there ever going to be a change here for Scott Boras and how this works?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think, it's interesting because you have some people who blame Scott Boras. You have some people who blame the Players Association. You have other people who blame the owners and the GMs, right? So I do think the Boras facade is cracking a little bit because guys want to get paid and they want to have guaranteed money, and Boras is pushing too hard for like, I think the big hang up, if I'm a GM or an owner, is like all the opt-outs that they want. And I think, he who must not be named, Trevor Bauer, kind of started this a few years ago when he had opt-outs after the first season and the second season. And then Correa did that too when he signed with the Twins. So it was like, you're starting to see those sorts of contracts. And I think people are shying away from it because if you're an owner or a GM, you want to make sure that if you're signing guys to these big money deals, you have them for at least 2 or 3 seasons because you're trying to build a team around them. So I think the strategy is going to have to start changing. It's either going to be like 4 years, less money, more guaranteed money, or something like that, with like, you can only opt out after the second year or the third year. But these like 1-year deals or these 2-year deals with first year opt outs, I think I have a feeling that PA is going to start doing something to kind of remedy the situation because it's better for the players. It's not good for the teams. They love doing that, but they're going to have to meet in the middle, I think, eventually.
Yeah, there has to be something. I mean, I don't know. It just drives me crazy with baseball, where it's like you're paying Blake Snell what, 17 million signing bonus and 15 million a year. All these things, like clearly you like the guy. Like, why do we have to wait to the last second for someone to do this?
Because now he's gonna miss at least 2 starts, I would guess, right? Like, he's still getting stretched out. Jordan Montgomery is probably gonna miss 2, 3, 4 starts, depending on how the Diamondbacks treat him. So yeah, you're missing out on a lot of
the value,
value, the war, like your team war now suffers, in my opinion, if you're signing these guys and they're not playing. What's the point? They're not injured.
Yeah.
So just pull the trigger and get it done.
Yeah, I know it's different than other sports. It's a long season, right? So like,
it is.
They don't have to start out on fire or nothing like that. But
I'd rather them get live game reps than work at the spring training facility. At this point, I should say, like if you're getting stretched out after the first 2 weeks at spring training, you're not seeing the same caliber of player that you would see in actual MLB games. So
it feels like something has to give.
Yeah.
Whether it's, whoever we want to put the blame in somewhere, something has to change.
Somebody's got to come. Yeah. Somebody's got to come to the table.
Because it also affected me, man, like in baseball, in best ball drafts and everything. I'm like, man, do I draft this guy? I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, you never know. I mean, with a Blake Snell, you kind of know that, someone's going to sign him. But like some guys are like, I don't know, man. I almost started treating them like injury players. Like
you have to. You have to because, with best ball too, you're maximizing innings, right, for full season. And you have to, like with your pitching, you have to maximize how much effort and work you're getting out of your pitching staff.
Exactly.
And if you don't know where these guys are going to be for the first month, it's a little sketchy.
It is a little sketchy. All right. So, those are the big headlines right now, right? Like these, Shohei, the Scott Boras and the contracts, pitchers, in new places. Yeah. Should we move on to some of the player specific stuff?
I think so. I think it's time. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and do that. All right. So we kind of have mentioned some of these guys already, but like Jordan Montgomery is the big one, I would say, right?
I think so. Yeah. I think, there's a few other stories that I forgot to mention to you off camera, but like, Jordan Montgomery, he signed 1 or 2 days ago, the Diamondbacks. I think it's like a 1 year, like $25 million deal with a vesting option for 25, which basically means I don't really know what the difference is between like team option, vesting option, whatever. But yeah, so Jordan Montgomery, again, Boris client, dude had a great season last year with the Cardinals and then won a World Series with the Rangers. And then he gets a 1 year deal. I mean, it seems strange and it seems crazy that it's the week of opening day that a guy like that, especially a left-handed starting pitcher who can throw pretty good gas and he's got pretty good junk balls and he's getting marginalized like this. So I don't really know how to feel about it. It goes back to what we were just saying about the Boras thing, right? Like something has to give. These guys got to get into camp earlier. I know he's in shape, but I mean, it's not good for the Diamondbacks. They lose out on whichever team gets them loses value when they're signed this late, I think.
Yeah, no question. I mean, and they kind of rebuilt their whole, pitching staff, right? The starters for the Diamondbacks. So
and they all had great performances during the postseason. There's a reason they got to the World Series, right? And they're gonna hang a banner tonight, which is really cool for them. But I think now you add Jordan Montgomery to that rotation, like I said a little bit earlier, they are scary. I do think they are right up there with the Dodgers in that division. I still think there's a world the Diamondbacks win the division this year. I really do because of this. That 1-2 punch. I'll take Gallen, Montgomery, Merrill Kelly every day of the week. That's a great top 3 in your rotation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And again, I keep referring to best ball because I've done so many of these, man. But I didn't see his name getting drafted a lot in a lot of the drafts that I was in.
No, well, and I mean, when you get to a certain point, you don't know if they're gonna even sign until May, right? If you get a guy
and maybe you don't like the spot as much, but
exactly,
here you like the spot.
What if he signed with the Rockies, right? Like, I'm not drafting a pitcher for the Rockies in best ball. Like, I don't know when he's gonna get shelled and when he's not. So it's. But I think for the player himself, I'm excited to see what Jordan Montgomery can do. That's very much like a pitcher's ballpark. Chase Field the dimensions are crazy. That center field wall is absolutely nuts. So it's fun to watch guys pitch there. And I think, it's nice that kind of like I said earlier, when he was in New York, it felt like he had to be the dude a lot of the
Yeah.
time. And
Yeah.
he has that ability, but when you are also backed up or sandwiched between Gallen and Merrill Kelly and Brandon Fat, right? Like you can perform a little bit better and the pressure alleviates slightly. And it's a great lineup. It's a great offensive lineup with a lot of young talent. So I see this as nothing but positive for the Diamondbacks outside of not getting him for a few weeks.
Absolutely. All right, another player, Victor Scott,
Yeah,
getting to
man.
fill in for injuries.
Yeah, the Cardinals are in a way right now. And it's just crazy because you think about the St. Louis Cardinals as perennial contenders.
Hmm.
For it almost feels like this team for the last like 5 years was just Yadier Molina's team, and he was just like kind of the manager and the catcher. And since he's left, there was the Wilson Contreras issues last year. There's a question of like, is Ollie Marmol even going to be there at All-Star break? And then they signed him to an extension, so he got a little bit more rope.
Right.
But now they're dealing with a ton of injuries. Their opening day starter is Miles Michaelis for context, right? So not a great look. And then you have Dylan Carlson and I think Tommy Edman are both on the shelf now. They're starting injured, so you get their, I think he was their number 3 or 4 prospect, but according to MLB Pipeline. And so now he's the opening day center fielder, which is, he's got that, like, he's a contact speed guy. I think he's
not a
kind of
power
like,
guy.
no, he's not a power guy, but he's like prototypical center fielder, right? Like he's going to get on base. He's probably going to steal some bases. Really good source for contact hitting. So, we don't know if he's going to remain the starter once Carlson is healthy. We don't know if they're going to keep him on the roster, send it back down, service time manipulation sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which we could talk about with like a Jackson Holiday situation too, which we can obviously get into. But so it's just Victor Scott's one of those like young guys to keep your eye on, right? He plays at Busch Stadium, which is, pretty good hitter's ballpark, decent lineup in a competitive division. So, I think he's one to keep your eye on as how is this going to work out? He's getting thrown into the fire pretty quickly. I don't think anybody really expected him to break camp. So we'll see what happens, but he's an interesting one to watch the first couple weeks of the season.
Yeah. Am I crazy to say like more players like him are starting to become more relevant? Like the guys who steal a ton of bases, they're not necessarily, home run threats. They're just kind of like single type players. But once they get on the bases, they're a problem. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's more of a role for those guys than ever. Like they're more popular than ever. And I know, I'm thinking again, I'm always in a fantasy mindset. So I know like there's leagues that like favor these kind of things and give extra points for these kind of things. Yeah. But like just in general, like I feel like there's like a mold now of a guy like him that's like relevant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, teams are now starting to understand you can't just hit home runs and win games anymore.
Right.
The juice ball era came as quickly as it went, and we loved it. It was very entertaining, but I don't think that we're at that point anymore. Then you got guys like Corbin Carroll, Jackson Holiday, Gunnar Henderson, Jazz Chisholm. Like you have these guys who are not necessarily going to hit for power, but yeah, they're demons on the base path. They're contact hitters. They're going to leg out infield singles constantly. And, frankly, it's more exciting for the product, right? It's just stealing a base, in my opinion, is one of the most exciting things in sports. Like it is a 3-second just adrenaline rush. Like you have no idea what's going to happen. It's great. I love it. So yeah, I think there's this is a matter of like, if not when is Victor going to be the starting center fielder for the Cardinals? It just feels very fast. So you just keep an eye, see how he adjusts, but he's going to be fun to watch. He's going to be a very interesting one to keep your eye on.
Yeah. And then another one that we want to make sure we definitely mention is there was an injury to Paul Sewald. And we got a player that you think people should know about.
Yep. If you have not gotten Kevin Gankle off the waiver wire already and he is still there, run, don't walk. If you are in fab leagues, spend a good chunk of your fab. If you need saves and, back of the bullpen guys. Yeah, it sounds like Sewald's going to be on the shelf for a little while. Maybe, he might do a minimum IL stint, but you never know with closers. They tend to, these these single use sort of pitchers who throw really hard for an inning or two. They tend to take it a little more slow in their build back up. So Kevin Gankel is a good option. I know we're talking a lot about the Diamondbacks weirdly today. But yeah, Kevin Gankel is a really good option if you need saves, if you need good counting stats. He'll get you that on this Arizona team. So keep an eye on Kevin Gankel, and then keep an eye on Paul Sewald. If he comes back soon, then Gankel gets demoted, obviously, but it could turn into a committee if Gankel has a really successful stint as the closer.
Yeah, no, for sure. Were there any other players that you feel like last minute news has been big?
I mean, it's not necessarily last minute, but Jackson Holiday not breaking camp. Don't panic. It's just service time manipulation. I know people are mad, but it is legal. It's fine. And if I'm an Orioles fan, I'm just happy I'm going to get Holiday for 7 years instead of 6. So Jackson Holiday is going to be the starting second baseman by June at the latest. So just everyone take a breath. Jackson Holiday is coming. He will be starting for the Orioles in short order.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're more of a bigger diehard fan than I am, but I just feel like there's a lot of exciting prospects who are not starting the season on teams, in major. Yeah. But, I feel like you got to keep an eye on them, like kind of immediately, man. Like there's a lot of really good ones. Like you mentioned Jackson. I mean, is there a few that you like also? Cause I feel like there's so many that are like, that didn't get put on the opening day roster. How I was like, man, I kind of thought he was going to make it.
Yeah. I think there are a few, the name Chase DeLauer from the Guardians is one I was a little surprised by. The dude was absolutely raking in spring training. I think he was hitting like almost 400 batting average. And I know it's spring training, but like,
right.
The Guardians need something to be excited about, frankly. And especially watching Nolan Jones, who was part of the Guardians team, went to the Rockies in a trade, and now Nolan Jones is crushing for the Rockies, right? So it's like, the Guardians need something to be excited about. So that's one I'm surprised by. Not surprised that guys like Wyatt Langford and Jackson Chorio are breaking camp and going to start for their respective teams, which are the Rangers and the Brewers. But yeah, there's a ton of pitching prospects like Paul Skeens for the Pirates that I'm surprised he didn't make the back of the rotation this year. That's most likely, again, a service time thing, right? So, keep your eye on guys like that who all the talk out of camp was, they're going to break camp. They're going to be on the opening day roster, and then surprised they weren't. Those guys are going to be up in 6 weeks. As soon as there's an opportunity to call them up that won't impact their service time not being elongated, they will be in the majors, and you will have a fresh batch of prospects to be using in your DFS lineups and in your season longs.
Yeah. And do you have a favorite like sleeper that you've kind of stashed? I know Jackson Merrill was really popular.
Yeah, I like Jackson Merrill. He's not a prospect, but he got called up last year and people were kind of putting his role into question. Is Henry Davis. He is the catcher for the Pirates. There was talk about him playing right field and because they signed Yasmani Grandal to kind of be their everyday catcher. Yasmani Grandal is injured, and then I forget who the Pirates' other catcher is, but now it looks like Davis is going to be the everyday guy behind the dish for now, for the foreseeable future. Keep an eye on him. I think he's got just an absolutely massive swing. I think the Pirates are going to surprise a lot of people. Things are starting to come together, at least on their offense. So, he's a guy that I took him at the back of a ton of best ball drafts. He was off in my last pick. So I think that, and then, like Keston Herstad and a lot of those Orioles prospects, not just Jackson Holiday. The Orioles have like 4 or 5 prospects they could bring up that are ready to play now, which is crazy because there's a log jam at the outfield for them because they also have Cedric Mullins and Anthony Santander, these guys who are also studs. So it's, keep an eye on what the Orioles do, because there's a world where some of those prospects don't make it to the majors with the Orioles, but trade deadline could change their situation very quickly. So I know it's crazy to start talking about trade deadline when it's opening day, but just, I think it's something to keep in mind with the O's.
Hopefully none of those prospects end up like Jared Kelenic, because
God bless Jared Kelenic, man. I hope the rough spring is a transformative time for him, and he actually turns it around with the Braves. If you
Yeah,
can't turn it around in that lineup when you're protected like
that's
that,
it.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
want to
crazy
call
because
him a
he
bust,
started
but he
off
might
on
be a bust.
fire in
He
Seattle
did,
and
yeah.
then just
He was, and then pitching caught up to him, and
yep.
they figured him out pretty quick. So
People will find out very quickly I'm a Mets fan. My boy Vientos got put down too, man, because JD
yeah,
Martinez.
I was surprised about Vientos, and then as an Astros fan, I was surprised about guys like Trey Cabbage. You know, like these guys that I think what you're going to start seeing too, like Astros are a good example. Bregman is probably going to walk after this season. So who is the heir apparent, right? And it's
Right.
like, are they going to go sign a third baseman? Are they going to trade for somebody? Or is it in-house? Is it the Jeremy Pena situation? So
Right.
Vientos, similar situation, right? He just got log jammed. So, you're surprised even after a really great spring. But again, that could just be service time manipulation.
It was funny
So
because I was reading up on it and I seen that him and JD Martinez actually had the same agent and everything too. So they're like familiar with each other. He's like, I know he's bummed out about, he's signing here. I'm like, that's a killer, man.
yes,
Like,
but you know what? That's probably good because as soon as there's an injury, Vientos will get called up. He gets to learn from JD Martinez, who's, sneakily one of the best DHs we've seen in the league in the last 10, 15 years. And it'll be good for him. It'll be good for him to see that sort of thing. So
yeah. All right, cool. All right. So, I mean, I think we covered all the important headlines heading into opening day. I know we got a little bummed out in terms of there were some matchups now that were my Mets. We want to talk about our favorite matchups of the week. Both of mine that I had planned for the day both got delayed.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
So I'm bummed out about this.
Yeah, that Phillies, the Atlanta at Philly game, I was very much looking forward to. Spencer Strider, Zach Wheeler. Now, the bright side is we basically get opening day 2.0 tomorrow with that, right? So like that's a really great Friday game to watch. So, we'll take it with a grain of salt. It could be worse. But yeah, and then the Mets Brewers game, I was excited to see too. Freddie Peralta versus Jose Quintana. What are the baby Mets going to do? Is Brett Beatty, Francisco Alvarez, they got to figure it out?
Listen,
I hope so, man.
Listen, man.
I hope so.
Listen, as a Mets fan, off of the fantasy stuff for a second, as a Mets fan, I'm going into this season with a lot less expectation because obviously last year they spent a ton of money and it was like, it's, World Series or bust. This year.
And it was bust.
Yeah, it was a definitely bust.
It was bust.
A worse bust than you can imagine. So this year you go in, you got a lot of young guys waiting in the wings. You got a lot of young guys already on the team, starting on the roster today. I mean, tomorrow now, but it's like, I'm excited. I think that they'll, last year they fell very short of expectations. I feel like this year they can go above expectations because it's not high. I mean, like it was, so I'm excited for them, man. Like I know, they're not a favorite by any means. They're not even one of the best in their, division, but I just feel like I'm excited about the future for their team. So
yeah,
I was excited to see how it started. I'm not, I didn't have a lot of faith in Quintana, especially against Peralta, who, if you were in a lot of my best ball drafts, I drafted a ton of Peralta.
He's a stud, man, and he's got to be the anchor for that Brewers staff now because Woodruff is hurt, and then they traded away Corbin Burns, so Peralta's the dude there. So I get it, man.
So much shares.
Yeah, he's. I mean, I have a pretty decent exposure to him too in best ball, and so there's a reason for that.
Yeah. So these were matchups that I was obviously excited for, but what were some? What are some excited that you're excited for that we know are going to happen today?
Yeah. So, I mean, chalky Astros, Yankees at Astros. I like it mainly because it's lefty on lefty for opening day, which is not often that you get to see two lefties in the same matchup for opening day. So it's Nestor Cortez versus Framber Valdez. I have a social challenge up. If you guys read the blog post I put up yesterday, that social challenge is open if anybody wants to take it. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what the Yankees lineup does now that Juan Soto is there. It looks like it's going to be Gleyber Torres, Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, or, you might flip Judge and Soto in that order. But, can the rest of the lineup keep up with that top three? Right. And, you have Giancarlo Stanton if he, didn't use all of his healthy tokens during spring training. We'll see. But I think that's a really interesting one. And then surprisingly, I think the Twins Royals game could actually be really good. And I say that purely again for the pitching matchup. You have Pablo Lopez versus Cole Reagans. Cole Reagans has come out of nowhere kind of last year. And then now he's like kind of a Cy Young dark horse, which is crazy. And the Royals have a pretty decent track record of developing pitching. They have let down Brady Singer to no end, and that is a travesty in my opinion. But I think Cole Reagans could really do a great job for them. And Pablo Lopez is a stud. He's been a stud forever. So, and then I like the Cubs and the Rangers tonight for, kind of like the big opening day. It pains me to watch the Rangers hang a banner. So I'm going to skip that part. But, Justin Steele, Nate Eovaldi, another great pitching matchup, two very good lineups. I think the Cubs are actually a sneaky contender to win the NL Central this year. I think even with the Pirates included, the NL Central might be top down the most competitive division in baseball this season.
Yeah. What do you think of Steele in terms of fantasy? Because I feel like I got him a good value in best ball a lot of times.
Yeah, I was shocked to see where he was going in a lot of drafts. It feels like people just forgot about the Cubs.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, Justin Steele could have arguably won the Cy Young last year. I think he finished third in voting, and that was because he got hurt a little late in the season. So I think Justin Steele is an unbelievable value. I'm gonna most of the time I'm gonna pick him in DFS if I have an option. If he's starting, he will probably be in a ton of my lineups. And I think he keeps Chicago in this game most of the night. It's more just a question of can the bullpen, help the Cubs get over the hump for this series, right?
Yeah.
But then the Rangers are coming off a World Series win, but historically we see a lot of teams struggle coming off of a World Series win because they're fatigued.
Right.
They played way more games than a lot of these other teams did. So, is that going to impact how the Rangers play? Well,
they're coming off that emotional high that,
exactly. And, they're going to hang the banner tonight. Adrenaline's going to be high.
Yeah.
But is that good or bad? We'll see what that means. But that's an unbelievable pitching matchup, and that's on ESPN tonight, so it'll be everybody can watch it. No blackouts. So at least we have that going for us with that game.
Man, can you believe next week this time we'll be doing another live stream, but with all kinds of results?
And it's like I said, it's Christmas, man. It's so good to be back. Spring has sprung. The sun is shining. We made it through the dark days of winter, folks. We are back. We are so back. And
Absolutely.
It's good to be here.
Which makes me feel like we should probably jump into some challenges.
I think so, man. I think it's time. I think it's time.
So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. For those who are not aware, again, we're brought to you by Rival Fantasy Sports. You can go to rivalfantasy.com. You can download the app on the smartphone, whatever you prefer to do. But what we're going to be pulling up here, and we're going to do this every live stream on Mondays, is we're going to bring up challenges. We're going to do a bingo card, and we'll do some best ball, probably a draft every episode. And this is all on Rival Fantasy Sports. The link is in the description. If you haven't signed up for it yet, there's a good offer there for you to do. If you're already signed up, then you already know what we're talking about, and you'll, play along with us. That's the fun part of this. Play along with us. It's, everything's there for you to do. So let me go ahead and bring it up. All right. Here is Rival Fantasy. First, we were going to do challenges. So we're going to start here. As you can see in front of us, we have Yu Darvish, Corbin Burns. And how this works basically is you can choose either side. If you see money on the one side, that means someone's bet already. So someone $17 on Burns right now. Yep. You'll see the matchup that's being involved in the deal. It's straight up fantasy points. If you want to see player stats, player news, it's all available to you right there. Everything is very quick, easy, smooth. All right. So Brian, how do you want to approach this, man? Do you want to just skip through them and see if we see that we really are digging?
I'll say right now, I saw this one as you pulled it up. I put some money on the Darvish side. I think it's a decent value. Okay. I think it's just too chalky to take Burns right now. I'll take Darvish to. Yeah, the Giants decent enough lineup, but throwing $1 on him, I feel pretty confident about him. He's gonna keep tabs with Corbin Burns. I think today, but the Angels, it's a great matchup for the O's. So
absolutely. And then again, you could do $1, $5, $10, $25. You don't have to do, whatever someone else's bet. You're just going to bet against their dollar. However you bet, that's what you're betting. Yeah. You also have the opportunity to use bonuses or vouchers. So we have a card game on here where you can actually get free vouchers and stuff. Or if you refer new members, you'll get vouchers and stuff. So it's a lot of fun ways to get involved. We'll do $1 on this one. Yeah. Pablo Lopez, Corbin Burns.
Yeah. This one, this is fun. This is where it gets really good. I think I could go either way on this because look, you have Angels. What the heck's going on with the Angels? Nobody knows. The Royals, I said their pitching is pretty solid, but I don't know about that lineup. That lineup's a little treacherous. So honestly, I think I'd still take Corbin Burns here, but I don't think it's wrong to take Pablo Lopez.
Yeah.
I think you could make the argument either way.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I get what they're doing over here. We'll
yeah.
take it though. Let's have some fun with it. Okay, we're getting a lot of Burns ones. Now, here's the other cool thing about Rival, if you're not familiar with, it doesn't have to be pitcher versus pitcher or, you know, center fielder versus center fielder or hitter versus hitter, whatever. You can literally do pitchers versus outfielders, whatever you want. You want to get crazy. I'm going to skip this one, I think, but
Yeah.
you can definitely get crazy on here. And, you know, oh, here's another one. We're getting a lot of interesting ones with Burns right now.
Yeah. I mean, he's the hotness, man. I understand, like, arguably the favorite for the Cy Young. You know, I get it.
And we got people betting against him though. Like, I mean,
yeah, I think that might have been me.
That's you. Okay.
I don't know, but I like Scooball today against the White Sox. I think he'll have put on a clinic. So
yeah, the gentleman you were just talking about,
Cole Reagans. Yeah, that one's tough. And see, then you get, you know, you get pitcher versus same team, right? And that's one where I'd take Rushman. But
there's all kinds of, you know, interest. And then again, you could also search. Look at Glass now too against Burns.
Yeah,
everyone's betting against Burns today. I mean,
yeah. See, that's one I don't know about. I don't know about taking Glass now against the Cardinals, but.
And what's cool is we can put 5 on this, and then somebody will still be able to come along and take $1 if they wanted to, or just add to it, whatever. Also, you can search. So, you know, for instance, Brian, you had mentioned some players that you really like today. Who was it that you said? Justin Steele we talked about, right?
Yeah, Justin Steele.
So say we look up Steele, and then we'll get challenges for Justin Steele. Very easy.
Yeah.
So I like you know, the ability to do that because, again, as a Mets fan, I have a little bit of a bias, and I definitely search my players.
I took every Framber Valdez, you know, challenge I could get my hands on today.
Yeah, so that's how I roll. So, hey, also, if you're watching and you want to challenge us directly, you can send us challenges. Like, for instance, my username on there is Clock Dodgers. Yours is
BK Oldham. Yep.
So if you search us up, we'll accept your friend request, and then by doing so, you can actually send us challenges directly. So that's you know, a lot of fun as well. So if you want to do it that way, it's a lot easier. But again, stuff like this, I'm going to be the one to initiate this one. You don't have to have a bet already initiated on challenge for you to take it. I'm going to be the first one. I'm going to put $5 down on this one. We'll see if somebody comes along and scoops that up and wants to go head to head with me. This is also fun if you have, again, friends, family members, coworkers, whoever that you want to argue and debate with all the time. This is a great way to settle those things. Me and Brian will settle this when Mets play Astros for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And we got plenty on the board. So
so we have a lot of fun with this kind of stuff. Let me see. Is there anyone else you want to particularly look up, or just,
you know, what I'm interested in? Yeah, I think we make a one. I have my eye on today is Zach Gallen. So I'm kind of doing like the after dark ones here.
Okay.
But Zach Gallen is pitching against the Rockies, and then Luis Castillo is opening against the Red Sox. So I think that's an interesting challenge to see. You know, I think both of these guys could have really, really successful days today.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll create this challenge. This is a social challenge, so you can create your own. You don't have to just do system generated ones. Which side do you want to pick, Brian? Because what we're going to do is we're going to share this with our community.
You know what? I'll take Luis Castillo. Okay. I think we take Castillo to do a little bit better than Zach tonight.
All right, so we'll do Castillo. We'll put 25 on it.
Yeah, let's put 25 on it.
Yeah, this way. So you guys, when you guys accept these challenges, you could just take $1, $5. So if you only take $5, it leaves more for others. If you want to go all in, take the 25. It's totally up to you. So what we'll do is we'll place this bet. And now I'm going to share this. So I'll put this on. I won't do it right now because we're on the stream, but I will share this on to our socials. So if you follow us, it's a good idea to do so now on X, Instagram, TikTok, wherever it is at Rival Fantasy. You'll see this challenge posted. And so all you have to do is click on the link and you can go into it and jump in and take, you know, the other side, put whatever bet amount you want. It'll be available. Now, if you were our friend, I could just scroll to your name on this list and send it to you. So it just depends on what you want to do, but I will share this one out. So it will be available for those who want to play. It is a late game, so you guys have time to get to it. Let me see here.
Love it, man. Love it.
All right, cool. Also, I did run a little poll in the beginning of the show on will the gambling scandal affect Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers in a bad way for fantasy baseball? And 80% said yes.
80%. Makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. It's you know, like we said, baseball is a mental game, so we'll see if they are able to overcome the noise, the external noise.
Yeah. All right, cool. So this is challenge. I think we got enough in there right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Corbin Burns, Frankie Montas.
Oh, man, Frankie Montas. Oh, God bless. God
Yeah, you got to
bless.
be careful. Some people will try to get you on some
Yeah.
obvious ones. So you got to be careful. They're trying to get you in your fandom.
Yep.
Look at this one.
Do the
Pablo
A's
Cole.
have, or no, Frankie Montas isn't an A anymore. I was gonna say, do the A's have fans anymore? But that's
Damn, cold-blooded.
I feel bad for him, man. What ownership has done is tough. That is just not cool. So,
oh man. All right. What we'll do now is we'll jump over to Fantasy Bingo, one of my favorite games.
absolutely.
For those who are unfamiliar, Fantasy Bingo, we will literally pick a roster. There's no salary caps. There's none of that kind of stuff. And we'll have an opportunity looking at the achievements after we pick our roster to see if we have a good, situation here. If we win, there's a prize pool here that you'll see up in the left corner. All you have to do is get either 5 in a row or 4 in a corner, and you win a percentage of the prize pool. So let's go ahead and do at least one of these. We'll do these every week as well. And I know we've talked about a lot of these players, so we already kind of have guys that we like. But do you have anyone specific that you want to make sure we get in there?
Okay.
Or...
Dark horse I like today is Shane Bieber against Oakland. Okay. So I think Bieber has got it's a really juicy matchup.
After you just crapped on Oakland.
Yeah, I feel bad for Oakland. They have some really great young studs. They're just not there yet. Yeah. It's just going to take some time to get them to
I understand. I understand.
What about you? Who do you like today? Who's one that you've been watching?
I would say, we haven't talked about some of these guys. Luzardo's interesting. Let's go with. I kind of like Darvish a little bit too. Webb is another guy we haven't really talked about today, right?
Yeah, could be interesting to have Webb and Darvish, both in that same matchup in a lineup.
Let's try that. So let's have some fun with that. So we'll put both of them in there
because that's kind of what I've been doing. Is I kind of pick matchups and then I'll pick like both sides of it if it's scheduled to be competitive, and then you kind of double dip.
Absolutely
for those games.
All right, so for the infielders. Do we want to go with the elite of the elite? Do we want to go sleepers?
You know who I'm going? I like Will Smith, catcher for the Dodgers. Homie just got paid yesterday.
Just got a new deal.
Just got his 10-year. I think he got violently underpaid, but that is the life of a catcher in the MLB, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's had a long deal too.
Yeah, 10 years, 140 million. So that's the Dodgers catcher for a long time. So congrats, Dodgers fans. You got an absolute stud behind the plate for a long time.
All right, so we got him in there. And then, it kills me that we can't pick any Mets, man.
Yeah, but I kind of like CJ Abrams today. I think he's
fun.
He's a fun one to watch, man. He's a spark plug in a otherwise questionable lineup.
Something that I realize also is there are so many fun shortstops right now in Major League Baseball.
So many shortstops.
I'm in drafts sometimes and I'm like, am I picking only shortstops right now?
Yeah.
What is happening right now?
I have done. I actually did try a few drafts that way where it was like a shortstop and right field only build because there's so many good right fielders and so many shortstops.
I am I get so excited about the shortstops. So I understand, man.
Yeah. It's fun.
Right, let's do an outfielder. Should we pick your boy Alvarez? Or are you afraid? Or are you afraid against the Yankees?
Come on. You think? Remember the last time somebody brought in a left-hander to face Jordan? How did that go for the Phillies?
Didn't go well.
Didn't go well. So yeah, give me Jordan against every pitcher ever.
All right, so we got him in there. Who else should we go? Should we get?
We could go same game and get a little Aaron Judge action. We could get a little Juan Soto action.
Which one should we go with? I don't know. I seen the Yankees, management telling Juan Soto, "Be your own man, dude. Don't let these veterans, guide you."
And then, but then you also got some interesting guys like Evan Carter, Wyatt Langford. Like you got some interesting, Esteury Ruiz, Nolan Jones. Like they're all so fun to watch. And like Corbin Carroll, Lane Thomas, great.
Mookie Betts, they're all down here.
Yeah, which is crazy, man. The outfield is just absolutely stacked this year. It's absurd.
Tatis, Randy. Oh man, what do we do? Let's just go Aaron Judge for now.
Aaron Judge. Listen, go Chalk, man. Go Chalk.
The beauty is you can create as many bingo cards as you want. So we can come back in here and do
infinite lineups. Infinite lineups, folks.
Exactly. All right. Now utility. We got 2 utility spots. If you let me pick, I'm picking shortstop. So give me your opinion first.
All right, man. It's utility. I think you know who I like? Let's go down a little bit. Let's see what we can get today out of. I like Esteury Ruiz.
Okay.
For the Athletics.
Not mad at that.
He's a spark plug too.
Yeah.
He's crazy on the bases. So
Yeah, I'm not
fun to
mad. Get as
watch.
many spark plugs as we can. I'm gonna have an all
Yeah.
spark plug lineup.
That's what it is, man. It's like, what guys are exciting, what guys are in the top third of the lineup, who's gonna get on base, steal bases, hit doubles.
Like I'm really excited about both cruises this year.
Yeah, man, I don't think you can go wrong with either of them. I think you could argue that Ellie is in the better lineup.
Right.
But O'Neal Cruz is, if he's healthy, man, I mean, absolute cannon of an arm. I think he still has the fastest recorded throw from the left side of the infield to first base. I think he hit like 100 miles an hour or plus on that. So good for him. We love that.
Man, I can tell I'm gonna be creating so many cards. We got Kim down here. We got Suzuki.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
guys
Luis Arraez, man. Luis Arraez is like all the way down. And the dude, I mean, I don't want to say Tony. He's a little further up now. I think he would pass him. I'm not going to say Tony Gwynn, but like he's Tony Gwynn adjacent, just smacks the ball for contact. Gleyber Torres, sneaky.
Ke'Bryan Hayes.
Ke'Bryan Hayes is great. I think Tristan Casas is like very overlooked as a Red Sox.
What are we going to do, man? What are we going to do?
Dude, you know what? You know who I like? Seiya Suzuki. Right there, right under Conforto.
There he is.
I like the
You were getting
Cubs.
from me a lot in best ball drafts.
Yeah, man. I like the Cubs lineup this year. I really do. I think they are sneaky good. So that looks good. That looks like a winner to me.
I like it. I'm gonna do 5 cards for it.
And it's that easy, guys. It's that easy.
I will have to put you on notice, Brian. This is my notice to you. If you take Pete Alonso in front of me one more time in a draft, we're gonna have issues, sir.
All right. Then I'll just keep taking Frankie in front of you instead, dude.
No, you can't.
I'm going to snipe you either Lindor or Alonso.
I'm like, what is going on here? Every time I want to take them, you take them one right before me.
Of course I do. I can't let the Mets fan have the Mets players.
Like,
that's not
100% intentional. This guy, I know.
It's not how this works. Come on.
So for those who don't know, this is what happens after we pick our lineup. It creates cards for us. I don't personally like watch it all day long and stuff while it's happening. I just wait to the end because I don't want to stress myself out all day.
Yeah.
But it'll create a card. It'll have all different positions and then, achievements that you got to get. Some of them are very easy. Some of them are a little more difficult. Dude, I get so many times where I'm like, man, this seems impossible. And then I win. I'm like, what the heck just happened? You know what I mean? Like there's so many things that I just hit on and I'm like, I didn't think that was going to hit and it hit and I can't believe it. So I don't stress myself out watching them because I will go crazy. But yeah, this is great. And again, there's no, salary cap, there's no nothing. You just pick your players, as many cards as you want, only $1 a card, so low barrier to entry. Great stuff for me. All right, the last thing we want to do before we go, Brian, is we want to make sure that we do a best ball draft. So let me know when you're in there. Let me see here. Okay, so I'm going to do a best ball draft. I will actually bring it up here on the screen so folks can see. Let me do it this way. Okay. All right, cool. So what we want to do is we want to join a best ball draft. To do so, for those watching, what we're going to do is we're going to pull it up here. All right, cool. So we're going to go to MLB. If you wanted to narrow it down, it's probably the easiest way to do so. And then once you get in there, you can pick any type you want. There's week 1, which is obviously week long. There's full season, and then there's just by the day. So let me go ahead and do this. All right, Brian. So I'm going to go ahead and join a best ball. I want to do one with you.
Let's do it.
Because I don't want to wait on any. So let's just go ahead and join one.
I love it.
Let's do it this way. All right, cool. Let's join. Let me bring it up for everyone to see, though. Okay. All right, let's do the 2-team. Or you want to do $5 or $3?
Let's do a $5. Let's throw some cash on it.
Let's have some fun with it. All right, I'm in there.
I'm in there too.
We got our little 5-minute window to give us a fair chance.
That way, in case anybody starts it late, you have some time to get in there.
Listen,
right?
That 5-minute window has saved me plenty of times.
Oh yeah, it's better than a 30-second window, man. Yeah. That 30-second window is tough. It's tough.
Yeah, it is. But the 5 minutes are not too bad.
Yeah.
Now, listen, this is for today, so you can't steal any Mets from me.
We'll see.
So,
hard to say.
There's no
man.
Mets. There's no Mets.
Hard to say.
It's just today.
And just a heads up to everybody, we'll let you know now. You will still see like Strider, and you'll see Zach Wheeler. You'll see some Phillies. You'll see the Mets in there, right? So just know that that hasn't updated to reflect the postponement. So
Mhm.
just keep your head on a swivel when
Yeah,
you're
you
drafting.
definitely got to stay on your toes because it will. If you let it auto draft, you don't ever know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
It's the
you want
Wild
to,
West out there once it does. So.
yeah. So you want to make sure you stay on top of it, and you want to make sure you draft specifically for your position because you can draft other positions and not be able to use the players technically.
Yeah. We do not have a bench in our daily version, so it is one and done. So you have to be specific with what and who you're drafting. So Neal, my question to you is when you're doing dailies, are you going for pitching early or are you waiting on pitching since there's only one pitcher spot
Yeah.
for these?
I tend to. It depends on the day, right? Like if I like a few guys, I can wait. Or sometimes if I like a guy a lot, I'll just want him out the gate. It just depends. You know what I mean? Like if I have a real favorite, then I might just want to get him and lock him in, and then not have to worry about it. But if there's a couple of guys that I feel kind of, or on that same wavelength for me, then I might wait.
Right.
It just depends. But I haven't also done a ton of these. I tend to do the bigger ones. So this would be a fun little adjustment for me.
Yeah, it's always interesting to when you get like a day like today, right? And you have so many good pitchers going, you get carte blanche of you can't really go wrong. If the worst option is like Logan Webb in a 16 draft, like you're in good shape. So.
That's what I'm saying. Like we'll have days where we talked about some of the better starting pitcher groups in baseball, and so when it gets to that part of the games where it's like the third or fourth pitcher, and there's a team that I really like their fourth one, I might go first. I might just grab them first, and then I have to worry about pitchers. But it just depends.
Yeah,
it just depends.
We love it though. We love how competitive it gets. When you have these smaller scale lineups, it's like all right, the entire team is good, so you just gotta make sure you're picking the right shot. It's
and best ball has been perfect for me. Like as someone who the season long. I mean, I love baseball. It's great. Season long takes a lot of work. I'm already in basketball leagues that I have to manage. It feels like daily. And so, when you start throwing baseball ones in there, it becomes very overwhelming. So the best ball is like that perfect middle ground for me where I've done so many drafts because I know I get to, just draft the guys and forget it. And everything will just hopefully go as I planned it to go. But then I don't have to sit there and trade and, make moves all day long. Which again, if you're playing other sports like fantasy basketball and stuff, it can get exhausting when you start adding these other ones in. You know what I mean? So that's just where I'm at.
It's much easier to just pick a team, pick the guys you like. And I've been in some fantasy baseball leagues that are 16, 18 team. I mean, it gets deep and it depletes quick, right? Yeah. So to me, it's more fun when you can, you have more options available. You have guys that that you love, that you enjoy watching play on your team. It makes baseball just as good, if not more fun. Then the only negative is like, I can't go pick up a new prospect that came out of nowhere, right? But
that's the bummer.
So what? That's what daily's for. You can take a shot on those guys. So
that's true.
So that's like good stuff. But
let me bring up
our little pro tip too with the draft room. If you're in there early, use it to set your queue just in case something happens, right? That's part of the reason we like to have this longer timer. Some people say it's a little tedious waiting 5 minutes. Fair. But it's a little bit easier than, the 30-second mad dash to get back in, if your phone is loading slow or whatever. And you can set your queue. So that way you make sure you at least have a few guys in the tank that if something happens to your connection or whatever, you're going to get at least a few of your guys. So
absolutely.
Just a little friendly pro tip that I like to throw out there.
Yeah, it's a good move for sure. Also, 5 minutes in a small draft like this gives you plenty of time to kind of, if you're not able to do the draft while it's happening, just kind of rank, queue guys up and let it auto pick. And you're not like mad at the end of it. You know what I mean? So,
and here we are. So I've got the first. So I'm going to take Julio Rodriguez off the rip because can't take Acuna today.
And this is the cool thing. You could be in here. You can look at the cards, if you're not sure who they're playing or whatever the case may be. All the information is there. If you just want to see how a player has been, performing, etc., it's all there. All right, man. So you went Julio.
Yeah,
I love me some Julio, man. Where do I want to go with this?
It's hard to root for Julio at being in the same division as the Astros, but man, is he good at baseball? My goodness.
I should take your Astro just to piss you off.
You gonna take me a little
just
Well,
to piss
Kyle
you off.
Tucker, it's a great pick, man. I think I like Kyle Tucker against lefties too. I think he and Jordan both know how to hit lefties very well, so I think he has a good day today.
And I should take
So,
Aaron Judge, who I want to kill your Astros, and then I have both sides of it.
yeah, that is a good way to do it. Right? That's what we were talking about earlier, right?
Yeah,
It's fun when you build these lineups and you can pick like specific games that you think are
right.
going to be really intense, and you can build a lineup accordingly.
The
So I'll
funny thing is,
come.
I don't want to queue up players while you're watching because
No,
then
I
I feel
know
like
it's you. I mean, the odds of me,
I know,
it's a small enough draft, right?
Yeah,
So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to take Corbin Carroll because everyone knows if you have seen anything I do related to baseball, Corbin Carroll might be my favorite player in the MLB. That's not a Houston Astro.
yeah. I was gonna take
Um,
him just to get you, but
and then I'm going to
I know your
come down
answer is.
here and take my first utility spot with Jordan because it's Jordan Alvarez. So in a
Okay,
third round of anything, I'll take him every day of the week.
okay. I see what you're doing, man. I see what you're up to. Now, do I want to go for that pitcher, or do I want to continue to wait?
Yeah.
No,
And
we
so
haven't taken any infielders yet.
haven't taken any infielders. I am 2 outfielders, and yeah, I guess it's 5 outfielders so far. So, Bobby Witt, great player. I think Bobby Witt's much better for like weekly and for season long and full
Yeah,
season.
I'm gonna
Because
go
he could be a little
Ramirez.
volatile.
I'm gonna go
So
Ramirez.
yeah, J Ram, classic, can't go wrong with him.
And then I'm kind of thinking I want to go Freeman, man.
I mean, Freddie's the GOAT.
Yeah,
It's hard to say no to Freddie.
kind of think I want to do it. Yeah, I'm gonna go Freeman. I don't want to
Okay.
overthink it.
So see now you've got both your infielders, both your outfielders. So you need a utility and a pitcher.
Yep.
I need 2 infielders and a pitcher because my utility spot is already full. So that does kind of make it a little bit easier. I don't have to worry about taking Acuna or well, I can't today, but no, I don't have to worry about Soto. So I'm going to flip over to infield. I think I'm going to start with my infielders here. I'll do the chalk at this point. I'll take Bobby Witt. But then I'm going to turn around. I think I'm going to dip down. And I'm going to take Matt Olson. I'm going to go for that like power speed combo in my infield.
Not mad at it. I'm not mad. I think what I'm gonna do is, as I wrap this up, I'm gonna take Tatis as my utility.
Okay, I like
and
that.
I'm gonna go Castillo as my pitcher.
Luis Castillo. Okay, very nice, very nice. All right,
Feeling
man.
good
So
about this team, man.
I'm gonna dip down a little bit. I'm gonna take Tarek Skubal as
That's your guy.
as my pitcher today. I think
guy.
I know he's been really hyped. But just real quick note, I think when you have AJ Hinch in the dugout as your manager, he's a guy that knows ball. The guy knows how to help pitchers develop. So I don't think the hype is overblown with Skubal.
Yeah.
I think when you have AJ Hinch there, you're always set up for success. So
not bad logic there. And then after you're done, very simply, it just shows you your roster, who you picked, the stand-ins, which obviously will ultimately show you who won. Of course, I'm projected just by a slight.
Just by a hair, man. By the skin of your teeth.
Better.
By the skin of your teeth, man.
I'm just slightly better than
That's
you,
because
Brian.
dipped down for whatever reason. They got Jordan not in the top. It's I don't know why I'm getting dinged for taking the best hitter in baseball. But
all I hear when I see that I slightly out projected you is a bunch of air horns, my man.
I mean, it sounds to me like you're a slave to the projections, dude. Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right. So that is it, man. I mean, I think we covered everything we wanted to cover today on the opening day episode. Obviously, we're super excited.
We're
I
here.
feel like we've been building up towards this forever for this moment. So we're here.
It feels good to be back to opening day. I mean, look, you guys know I love football. I do love the NFL. I like basketball, but baseball is numero uno for me. So it's good to be back. It's good to have a full slate of games scheduled today too. You got it from, I think the first game is at like 2 p.m. Eastern time. And then it's just baseball all day and all night, which is, there's nothing more beautiful.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I agree. It's exciting. I hopefully, like I said, we're gonna be doing this every Monday, so we definitely want you guys to join us live if you can, when you can. We know everyone has different lives and different schedules, all that kind of stuff, but for sure, If the chat is popping, if it's interactive, we will be answering your questions, all that kind of stuff. Of course, we'll be throwing polls up throughout the shows. We'll be doing the live Rival Fantasy Best Ball challenges, bingo. So if you guys are in the chat, certainly we could always interact with you guys and play those games with you guys as well. So
Sure.
I think next time I may even drop some of the social challenges right in the chat. I believe the links will be clickable there. So
yep, they should be.
Yeah, so it'll be
and if you guys are in the chat early enough and we can get together like a 6-team full week draft, you know, we're ready to do that live with you guys. So jump in. Let's draft against each other. Let's have some fun this season.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And then other than that, I mean, follow us on social at Rival Fantasy on any platform that, you know, you could think of that you want to find us on. We're there. Subscribe to the YouTube, of course. You know, we can't thank you enough for that kind of support. We appreciate it greatly. Liking the video, all that kind of stuff. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. If it's after the fact, after the live, drop in the comments. No comment goes unanswered. I promise you, Brian. Sure. You know it's fact.
I know
it's
it. No, Neal is a hawk when it comes to responding to comments. The man
and
does
I will
not
also
miss.
delete your comments too if you get crazy.
Yeah. Don't step out of line, folks. You know, keep it tame. Keep it PG-13 in here.
Crazy.
Yeah, we're a kid-friendly show, right?
Don't get crazy with me. All right, man. That's all I have for today. I know we covered a lot of ground. There's so much more to cover. I think, you know, next week when we come back, it's gonna be a lot of fun because, like I said, once we have results and wins and points scored and home runs hit and stolen bases, all these things to talk about, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So
we get real baseball finally. And baseball means something now, so it's, you know, we have way more to talk about. Come next week.
Absolutely. So again, sign up on Rival Fantasy, download the app, visit the website, whatever is your preference. We will catch you guys next Monday. We're going to do this every single week, every Monday at 10:30, you think, man?
Yeah, maybe a little bit later in the day. Maybe catch you guys on your lunch breaks. You know, we'll see. We'll play around with it. You know, you guys let us know on social what times work for you, what times you want to see, and we're here for the people. You know, we are a people first show.
Absolutely. So subscribe, turn your notifications this way. If it gets moved around, you guys will still find us. Other than that, guys, enjoy Major League Baseball opening day. I hope your favorite team wins. I hope you do good in fantasy baseball, best ball, all that good stuff. Find our social challenges out there. We're going to drop it on the social. We'll drop others too, not just the ones that we posted here today on the show, but we'll do other ones as well. That is it for me. Brian, I appreciate you as always, man.
Good to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
We'll catch you guys next Monday. Later.